Hey, this is some of the blocking stuff we've been working on. Peter Jewell's been working on a bunch of them that are big and super clean and Peter style. Here's a little set of 10 jugs that I'm doing. Come a little closer. Here's a pretty good example of how big, how meaty this jug is. 2 hands, full 4 pad. If you put the first blocker in, which is labeled 1B, this is jug number 1, this is 1B. You go in there, slide it in, and it turns into half pad tips. Still matchable, but obviously that's a pretty meaty undercling. Meaty isn't hard. Here's 1C, this is the next blocker. So that turns into a full pad. And it's kind of hard to believe, those don't look like that different, but it makes a big difference. That little difference, some of them have a little organic kind of dip in them. That little difference goes from 1 pad to full 2 pad. And then again, take just that out. It doesn't seem that thick, but you take that out and you're back to 3 pad. So it's a little surprising how much difference you get out of them. There's 25 blockers and 10 jugs. So 25 blockers and mixing the 10 jugs, that's 250 different holds plus the 10 original jugs. So this is 10 holds, it turns into 260 holds. Of course, with sliding, it's infinite, basically. So here's a good example of closing out, taking a jug. And number 2, the first one is pretty solid closeout. So again, it's kind of this one might be 3/4 pad, but they're really slopey. And I'm sort of surprised how comfortable they are, honestly. They're super comfy, they're really round. I don't know, didn't really expect that, but I thought they'd be comfortable, but they're more comfortable than I thought. So there's number 2. You can see a little flex in that. So every jug has set screws on the side. So what I'll do is I'll set that, and I'll pop the set screws in. Whoops, try again. The set screws wrap it around this piece a little bit. You see this piece is it's a little bit held in there, just barely. But then of course I'll always sink one of these too. Or I tend to sink both because I really don't like my tips catching any kind of hole. So I'm really, really particular about how shallow these holes are. I'm trying to just nail them, I'm trying to just make them absolutely disappear. So with the screw in, that's the way it disappears the most. When you're going for this thing, I don't want anything on your tips. I want it to be super mellow. So that takes the flex down quite a bit. Because the flex matters a little. If it flexes too much, you can pinch your fingers in there and that's weird. So they all have these set screws and that keeps them locked in. They don't flex. Let's see, number 3. Here's 3. Some of them have a real organic dip, like I said, which builds a real focused one hand kind of area. Of course, unless you slide it, then you're back to having multiple. So I like that a lot. Here's an example, 5 on 5. 5 has a little bit of organic flow along that, and then so does this. And so the first blocker, the largest blocker, really tracks that one. So that thing's getting pretty small. If you slide it right over here, you get a little bit of a match back, but I don't know if you can see how small that is. That's pretty small. That's seam climbing. And basically you can't shape a hole that has this crisp of a seam because it tears the mold up in production. So you could try, but the factories hate it. It's expensive. You have to remold over and over. The best way to get seams that are really tight and really cool outside organic seams is to use this kind of system. Put 2 pieces together. But the main thing is you guys get to build whatever you want. Here's 6. This is a pretty complete block. This is one of the most complete. That thing turns into basically just the edge, just the face of the jug. And I've only got a couple of these fatties. I'll probably make a few more because I like them a lot. Because they tend to really, this fat one goes on everything and it'll fill every one of these. And that's pretty horrible. For me, that's kind of getting to be the limit. Like, I'll set those up and just see if I can hold it at all. Here's the second one. What is that? That's 6. 6 on 6. So here's the full fill, which of course is terrible. And here's number 2, which is way more reasonable. 3/4 pad, maybe full pad. You can take one. I mean, here's number 8. Drop it in 6. Obviously, that's not very big, so it's a little more room for matching. That's about it. I'm gonna do, I don't know, I'm probably gonna do 50 jugs and 100 blockers, which comes out to 5,050 shapes. I'll get to those in the next month or two.